Pues lo prometido es deuda. Ya estamos aquí, 12 en punto de la mañana, para empezar el debate BLEARNER. Ayer, en el panel B-Woman, hablábamos de cómo el entorno VUCA nos exige adaptabilidad y actualización constante, entre otras cosas. Digitalización, robotización, automatización, sostenibilidad, diversidad constituyen este entorno VUCA, un entorno nuevo que obliga a las empresas a abandonar funciones obsoletas y actualizar sus plantillas. Renovarse o morir, literalmente. ¿Pero cómo? Iniciamos el panel BLEARNER, que será en inglés. This panel will be in English. Reskilling and Upskilling para impulsar el crecimiento de tu organización. And we have, bueno, lo voy a decir primero en español y luego ya empezaréis en inglés. Tenemos aquí a Jordi Arrufí para moderar este panel. Él es director del programa de talento digital en el Mobile World Capital de Barcelona. Ha liderado proyectos de transformación digital con impacto social y durante su trayectoria ha trabajado para firmas como PwC. También es profesor del Máster de Innovación y Emprendimiento del Tecno Campus Mataró, de la Pompeu Fabra, de la Universidad de Pompeu Fabra, y haces otros másters de innovación y digitalización en varios otros sitios, que si no ahora sería muy largo. Bienvenido, Jordi.
Gracias,
welcome.
Muchas gracias. Welcome. Thank you.
Welcome also Cristina Getty. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Y bienvenida, welcome, Ona García.
Gracias.
Pues cuando queráis.
Thank you very much. So I shift into English. My role here is to moderate this session, so is to introduce. So first I will provide an introduction to the topic of today, and then I will try to take the most of our speakers, of our guest speakers, Cristina, Ona, and of course to our audience, offline audience, because we have people following us here today, but also the online audience. We encourage you also to drive questions. At the end of the session, we'll have like 10 minutes of Q&A. As Anna was mentioning, I currently have a role at boosting digital skills in our ecosystem in our city. And due to this job, I have the opportunity to visit quite often executive people who is in charge, like you, Ona, like you, Cristina, people who is in charge of teams or have certain challenges in teams of ICT here in our ecosystem in Barcelona. And you know, when I visit them, I always like to ask the same question: what are your specific challenges, the main challenges that you have over the next month or years? And you know, they answer many things, but usually they have one thing in common, one challenge in common. They always say, we need digital skills. We have to hire digital skilled people, but not a few. They usually need like hundreds, you know? They have to double fold their workforce, their headcount, you know, from 1 year to the next one, right? So this is a big challenge. Actually, in Barcelona, just to provide local data, 2 out of every 10 job offers are like full digital jobs, like web developers, app developers, data scientists, people working in cybersecurity, and so on and so on. And if you compare the demand of the first half of the 2021 of ICT jobs here in Barcelona, you compare it with the entire demand of 2020, you see that already we have as many, let's say, job opportunities in Barcelona that the ones we had in 2020. So it means that the demand is growing at a very, very fast pace. So this is what's happening now. But we know that the future, probably this first competition that we have for talent now, probably will be even harsh over the next years. Because, and probably Cristina knows a lot about that because she's a ICT specialist, technology has a certain nature of exponential growth. And it's, let's say, mushrooming because it's not that it's performing better than ever. The several technologies that compound this fourth industrial revolution, it's not that it's performing better than ever, but it's also that it's becoming also cheaper in the sense that actually it's easier to make a copy of a digital product. It's almost, you can create it with a marginal cost that is almost zero, right? It's not that easy, I know, but but it's easier to let's say, spread it software than maybe hardware, for instance. No? and also certain technologies like the cloud computing, the trend of the low-code platforms that will allow in the future that any citizen could potentially develop software. That means that we will have, even bigger spread of ICT technologies that will reshape our industries, the way we work, the way we live, the way we relate to each other, and how the market's organized, and so on and so on. So this is the future. Actually, in one of those visits that I was, paying to one of the companies here in Barcelona, they are settled in the 22 At district, which is the ICT district of the city, and we had the opportunity to go into the rooftop of their building, and you could see nice views in the surroundings, and you can see many cranes, 20 or 30 cranes, so it means buildings that are now under construction, but in 2 years, 3 years from now, they will allocate companies, basically either ICT companies or incumbent companies that are leading digital transformation from Barcelona. So it means more competition for companies like you, more companies demanding ICT jobs. Actually, according to World Economic Forum, there is this famous report, The Future of Jobs, and they say by 2025, there are 10 jobs that will be the top on-demand jobs. Of those 10, 9 are, let's say, related with digital technologies, like digital transformation specialists, people working in, again, big data, AI, in IoT, in web development, and so on and so on. So this is the future, and the future will be, harder in terms of competition for digital skills. Good news, because we will create a lot of jobs. Actually, according to World Economic Forum, 97 million jobs. So good news on the one hand. Bad news in the sense that people like you, that you have the challenge to, hire or to upskill, right? You have a big challenge, okay? Because those skills are not in the market probably yet, or they're scarce. On the other hand, and this very same report for World Economic Forum says that actually there will be also certain jobs that their demand will be decreasing. They will be fairly falling, declining. 85 million jobs, and those jobs are basically all kind of jobs. Can be let's say, very qualified jobs, but also less qualified, blue collars, white collars, for ICT companies, for incumbent companies. Anyways, the thing is that there are processes and certain tasks that are being digitized, automated, and they are at risk of substitution. So there is a paradox here. On the one hand, companies that are eager to attract and maybe to build their own skills that are basically skills that are very scarce in the market and within the companies. And also a paradox because on the other hand, there's an abundance of skills that maybe in 1, 2, 5, 10 years from now, companies won't need anymore. So think in certain industries like banking, like insurance, like retail, like logistics, and how are automating all the logistics, many jobs that are at risk of automation. And this is the main challenge, right? So this is the topic of today, right? Because I guess that you as company, you're facing this challenge, and you have, let's say, 2 paths that you can take. One is the, let's say, old formula of firing and hiring. So I, replace the people that and the skills that I don't need, and I hire people from the outside. But this maybe has many constraints. Of course, beyond the social responsibility, you will lose know-how. Also, you will lose loyalty, and so on and so on. And the other thing is that, as I mentioned, people outside maybe they don't have the skills that you need. So it's better, way better, and probably cheaper and more responsive to reskill and upskill your own workforce, which is mainly the topic of today. So today we will speak about how the technology is reshaping your industry, and as a consequence, what kind of skills you are needing now and you will need in the future, and especially how to deal and how to, let's say, cover this gap of skills that you're facing in your company. So we will speak about those topics with Ona Garcia. She's the head of talent management for Iberia at Bayer. She has developed her career in the HR function, right? Before as, for instance, consultant in HR companies, and also leading also HR at Novartis, also other corporate in the healthcare industry. And we have also Cristina Getty. She has two main roles, right? One is the head of Workforce 360. You will explain us better what does it mean. And also she is in charge of the IT hub of Nestlé in Barcelona and in Milano. Previously, she was the Vice President of Transformation and Strategy for Coca-Cola, European Partners, and CEO for CIO for EMEA and at Kimberly-Clark, and other roles in ICT, because I could, you know, you have a long curriculum, of course. So, and she's, by the way, telco engineer, even though I don't know how much it counts what you studied maybe a few years ago, you know, in comparison with the new roles that usually are different about what you studied. Probably happens the same with Ona, right? So let's just start with the first question. So I will address Ona. Tell me about, first of all, Bayer. So what is the main business of Bayer? So both are very renowned companies, but what are your main business? And especially how you envision that your industry in which you operate will be reshaped over the following, let's say, years.
Okay, thank you, Jordi. Hello to everybody here and all those ones that are connected. For me, it's a pleasure to be here today in this magnificent building, La Fadrera, which is exactly a representation of the city of Barcelona, right? Mm-hmm. And the other day, I was thinking, what a coincidence, because Bayer first came to Barcelona at the same time that Antoni Gaudí was in the process of constructing this building. So this happened 120 years ago, more or less, and is wow, no? In terms of your question, Bayer initially was a chemical product company. But whereas now, due to numerous business strategic changes over the years, we are today one of the world's leading company in health and nutrition. Health, because we want to cure and prevent diseases, and nutrition, because we want to help to improve, to produce more food, if it's possible, with less resources, to feed a growing population. Mm-hmm. So, having these two concepts in mind, we believe we can contribute to, well, in making the world more sustainable, mm-hmm. right? Then, if we can imagine the future in 2050.
I know it's not easy, it's a bit science fiction, but I encourage you to do this exercise.
That's only 30 years away,
yeah,
then.
Nothing.
Well, it is predicted that it will be an increase of the population by 2.2 million. This means 37% more population than we are now with the current population, right? This is a big challenge. Then life expectancy will be longer. And with this, it will come more chronic diseases. And we cannot assume that, unfortunately, because we are living this pandemic, it will be the last one. So with these big, huge challenges in Bayer, we are putting all our efforts in trying to achieve it, what I said, I mean. Mm-hmm. And with this, we are investing a lot in terms of technology, in terms of digitalization, in terms of talent. And what I would like to say is that I see a really bright future, not only for Bayer, but also for the pharmaceutical and the crop science industry where we are operating, because it is something that it will be essential. Health and nutrition. Our vision in Bayer is health for all, hunger for none. And then I'm sure that if we can contribute to make the world more sustainable, and here in Barcelona, because also I think that why do companies like Nestlé or Bayer can consider Barcelona as a good place to stay, then it will be really good. And I only want to add something that for me, in my personal opinion, there are two reasons to be here in Barcelona. One is Barcelona itself. I mean, the city, the environment, the people, the climate, whatever, but also because, as you mentioned before, Jordi, is a hub for attracting international talent with its international universities, international business schools, with its startup ecosystem businesses, and also with its scientific research centers. And all of this, if we have the possibility from the private sector and combine the efforts with the public sector, and I think that this is a good example, this event today, and then we will make happen that the whole industry in terms of health and nutrition, and here in Barcelona, I think that it will be really, really good. So.
Thank you very much. Now let's move to another, let's say, representative of a company that has chosen Barcelona in order to settle their ICT delivery center, right, and develop the future and reshape your industry for the future from Barcelona, among other hubs around Europe. So I would like, Cristina, you to tell us about a bit about Nestlé, even though, of course, it's a very well-known company, but also about how you envision the future of your industry. Maybe you don't need to envision like in 30 years from now. If you can do it, let's do it. Otherwise, maybe in 10 years from now.
Yeah. So nice to meet you and to be here today. It's a great opportunity. Nestlé, I think you more or less everybody here will have a Nestlé product in their house. It's a consumer goods giant if you go by the definition. But I think I like to remember our motto, which is good products, good life. Nestlé is entering in the life of many people. It started producing milk formula for children, and now it's part of our day by day in different moments of our life. In cooking, we did that a lot during the pandemic. In taking care of ourselves, so we also have a health science and nutrition division. In taking care of the furry ones that are making our lives fuller, so we have a pet care part that is it's absolutely great. And in general, I would say. Being with us as consumer and as human beings in all the important moments of our lives. And you know, if I think about where we want to be, a lot of what Ona mentioned, it's actually true for Nestlé as well. We produce food, we are part of people's lives, we are there with them to be sure that they have different options. There is a lot going on, for instance, when it comes to plant-based products that are becoming one of the big themes. But I would like to bring forward one element which is more related to the how. Nestlé has recently launched a major initiative which is called Generation Regeneration, that is built on top of the sustainability pledge that is already part of the Nestlé vision of the future. There is no future without a sustainable circular economy that is allowing not only the company, but also, and most importantly, the communities where we operate, the people we work with, the people who are part of our overall ecosystem to thrive. And the Generation Regeneration is a pledge to be sure that wherever we are present, we allow for nature to regenerate. We allow for regenerative agriculture. And you know, I love to think that the future is going in this direction, and that is bringing a new boost to all the big themes that we have around how we are responsibly operating in those environments. And technology plays an incredible role in all of that, because the ability of truly making the right choices, boosting our ability to make the right decisions, invest in the right areas, it's truly going through technology, and it's truly going through, you know, making an impact on how technology becomes available, not only within the company, but also for all the consumers and the customers that we are daily interacting with. And Barcelona, in this sense, I could, you know, quote word by word what Ona mentioned. It's a pretty unique combination of all those characteristics that are making it a thriving, exciting, and very attractive environment. It's the ecosystem, it's the school system, it's the education. And I would say, even though it might sound counterintuitive, the fact that we have more big companies like Bayer or Nestlé looking at the city as the right place for creating our hubs is giving a headache every time someone is leaving or moving around, but it means that we are developing and we are nurturing the right type of talents. If they are attractive for the market, it means that we are doing a good job and we are somehow giving back to this ecosystem that is making the city unique and exciting.
Can you tell us, Cristina, some examples of technologies or solutions for the consumer, maybe, or for your own workforce that you're developing from Barcelona? I know, for instance, that you are in the side of AI and chatbots in order to interact with the consumer, or maybe connected coffee machines and so on. So maybe you can extend a bit.
Yes, no, absolutely. So let me give you one practical example that is very, very recent. When the pandemic started last year, we found ourselves in the need of managing and supporting our people working in the production environment. Our factories remained open and operated throughout the entire pandemic because being an essential company, we continue on our activities. And those are very complicated machines to be operated. And one of the initiatives that we were piloting in Barcelona was related to the possibility of using augmented reality for explaining to our operators on the production, on the shop floor, how to do the maintenance of those machines. Normally, you would have a technician, very expert, very skilled person, being there with you and doing the maintenance with you. It was not possible. It was not possible to send a technician. So we had our team in Barcelona developing augmented reality experiences that the operators in the factory could use for knowing how to do the maintenance, how to keep the production going. And that's part of, I would say, a general effort in terms of boosting this type of technology. We have reached a couple of months ago the beautiful amount of more than 1 million connected IoT machines around the globe in the coffee space, which is quite an incredible number to think about. And we have just recently established in Barcelona our innovation center for artificial intelligence in all the aspects that this is going to bring in terms of developing new solutions, but also in terms of raising the awareness in the implications, the ethical components that are coming related to that incredibly interesting area.
Okay, you were mentioning about the pandemics. Actually, the pandemics, there is a certain consensus that has accelerated the pace of digitization in everywhere, right? In society, but also in companies, also in public administrations, and so on and so on. Maybe you remember that at the beginning of the pandemic, 1.5 years or even more, the economists were not actually, didn't achieve a consensus about how we will recover from this pandemic. Maybe the shape that will take the recovery. At the beginning, they say, okay, it will take a V shape, so the economy will fall, but rapidly will, recover. Then others said, no, at the end will be like a W reshape or recover. So we'll fall, then we'll recover, and then when we have another wave of the pandemic, we'll fall and then recover. But at the end, all of them achieve a certain consensus that actually we were having a K-shape recovery, meaning that after the fall at the beginning and a half recovery, you have like 2 speeds recovery. On the one hand, you have companies that, of course, they took advantage according to their business, like in your case, you are in health, you are in food, so you supply more products, but also because they are either digital, so they are digital natives, or they're digitizing themselves, and they will be way more competitive. They have way more digital customers, and they will match their expectations. So those companies will, let's say, lead the new economy. While on the other hand, on the, let's say, bottom part of the recovery, you have other companies that were not able to put ICT, let's say, in the core of their operations in order to transform themselves, and they will, let's say, take some time in order to converge to the top ones. So we see that nowadays digitization is also a way to be very competitive. You were mentioning some examples, right, of things that you are doing in AR, in artificial intelligence, but also it means, and now let's focus in the topic of today about skills, that of course you need a set of skills that is pretty different from what it was maybe 10 years ago, and probably in 10 years from now will be pretty different. So maybe let's now shift to Ona. What kind of skills you are needing now in, for instance, in Bayer, Iberia, and what kind of skills you envision that you will need maybe in the near future?
Okay. Then, well, as you said, we have different sources, such as World Economic Forum, that tells us that speedy adoption of new technologies and automation, are the trends. And based on our assessment in Bayer, considering internal variables and the market trends, and also based on my personal research, I consider and I feel that one of the most important skills for the future are self-management skills, which means resilience, which means active self-learning, which means digital mindset, and also critical thinking, problem solving, and flexibility. These are the ones that I just want to highlight. And in fact, we are working with this and trying to implement to our leaders, especially to our leaders, to upskill them in these competencies. So in one hand, we have the self-management skills, and on the other hand, we have the technological skills. And with this includes data analysis, artificial intelligence, content creation, and cloud computing. But well, I'm not an expert in technologies, but I can talk a little bit more about the self-management skills.
Okay, the part of the the so-called soft skills, right?
Exactly.
You were mentioning actually before, Ona, that nowadays, thankfully, we have a longer life expectancy. But this means also that probably we will end up working more years, right? That's bad news, right? But it is true also that the technology is reshaping the kind of skills that the market needs. So it means that we will need those soft skills, like, for instance, like self-management or active learning, because even though maybe you have ICT skills, you will need to upskill yourself, because maybe the programming language that was under demand, 10 years ago, who was like C#, for instance, now is replaced by Python or whatever, right? So it's for everyone. So this mindset of keep updating yourself as if you were a software, right, is something that definitely companies need, right?
Exactly.
You will, maybe let's keep it for the last part of the session, but you have to tell us now how to do it, because it's easy to say. This is very easy to say. Okay, we
that's
need
a secret. And
no, the secret formula, like Coca-Cola, but you need at least to tell us some ingredients, right? So easy to say, but how you create this, let's say, culture of or mindset of keeping updated, to keeping learning all the time, to try to understand which will be the future needs of the market and update yourself for this company or maybe for a company that you work in the future. But let's keep it for the next question.
Okay.
Let me move now to Cristina. So about the skills, you were mentioning some. You're working in AR, you're working in AI, you're working in software development, and so on and so on. So what kind of skills you need now that you maybe didn't need 10 years ago, and especially what kind of skills that maybe you don't need yet, I mean skills or jobs that you don't need yet, but you probably will need in the near future?
Yeah, so I would say there are, in my opinion, and in what we see lately, two characteristics that will be absolutely critical. One is the centrality of automation. Automation will be at at the core of the way our processes are going to change for big corporations, for the way we operate, and therefore people being able to link the technology to the understanding of the processes that are the backbone of a big complex environment like the one of a big company like Nestlé will be absolutely essential. But the other one, and it's also something that we see emerging both in the space of the consumers-related technology, but also with regards of our own employees, it's related to the personalization. So everything that gives you the ability of telling a story that resonates, everything that gives you the sense of it's me at the center of the conversation. So elements like data and analytics for the sake of insights, or digital twins, or the user experience designers and the persona designers that are, bringing the human dimension and the human centricity to the technology will make the difference. Because I couldn't agree more on what Ona was mentioning regarding the soft skills, the characteristics. We need technology that can support this ability to self-learn, this ability to self-manage, to drive through outcomes instead of deliverables. And to do that, our technology needs to be shaped around the human being. And for that, all those elements like UX, CX will become even more relevant and even more important than they are already today.
About the customization, I believe that is a trend that is already happening in many industries. For instance, you use this kind of cloud music services like Spotify, you have your daily music list, right? And usually they match quite your interest, and sometimes they discover you music that you didn't know that you would like, but at the end you try and you actually like it, right? But this is a challenge probably when your product is not actually a software, it's a physical product like a pill or like, for instance, a snack, right? So how could you, let's say, and now I know that this is a business question rather than a skills question, but how can you, let's say, get information from the consumer in order to, provide them with a customized product or service?
Yeah, no,
can you tell us a bit some hints, right?
Let me give you a practical example. And it has to do, a lot of that has to do with IoT, the ability to be there when the experience happens. So I'll give you a practical example. I like my Nespresso morning cup to be a tall one, but I like a double shot of water, right? So what I do, I go for the first round with the capsule and the second one without the capsule. What if my machine would be knowing that already by myself? After observing me doing this trick for a week, my machine will learn, right? That's the way Christina likes it early in the morning, and will do it for me. The combination of human behaviors, IoT, and artificial intelligence is possibly the trick that will drive a lot of this specialization in the future.
Okay, so it means that, of course, in order to drive those new business models or solutions to your consumers, you would need ICT specialists like people in AI, in IoT you were mentioning, and so on and so on. So even more than the ones that you are already hiring now, right?
Yes, yeah, no, that's definitely a part of the market that is continuing to grow. The one we didn't mention that is, again, growing a lot is cybersecurity. The word out there is not nice. And the ability to do all of that, particularly when you think about the number of devices that are connected in your house and in your daily life, to truly, guarantee that this is happening in a secure way, in a way where my information, my data are protected and safe. It's of paramount importance. So I would say the combination has to be taken into consideration, because it's not a nice to have, unfortunately.
And by the way, you were mentioning also a very important topic about AI concerns of, bias and so on, the ethics of artificial intelligence. Do you think that this will translate into new jobs? For instance, people taking care about the ethics of your algorithms in the near future?
Absolutely, and it's already happening. Ona working in talent and in talent development. will know how much in the recruitment environment there are already trends emerging on how the artificial intelligence behind personnel selection is biased by the fact that if 75% of your algorithms are developed by white males, they might be bringing into the AI some of the biases that they bring because of their experience, their personal background, and so on. And this is something that will become absolutely critical. The other interesting aspect, I believe, from this perspective, is to be preparing our board of directors to take important decisions on that space. They will have to decide how far they want to go. And they will have to, factor ability to understand the key principle around AI, the key principle around those deep insights that they can get, can have an ethical implication, and be prepared to take decisions that will make a difference in the company and in the society.
Okay, so both, agree that it's not that much about hiring new people. Of course, it's about that, but it's also about helping your current employees to get those new skills that you will need. And I think this is the core part of this presentation. And I would like you to give us, let's say, specific examples and maybe tips for maybe companies that are following us now online or here offline and want to learn about your, let's say, best practices, right? So
Okay.
how, Ona, for instance, in your case, you're mentioning about certain soft skills like this critical thinking, self-management, leadership, maybe, because to lead or to drive transformation, you need leadership, right? Transformation is like a top-down rather than a bottom-up dimension. So can you put examples about how to reskill or upskill your workforce, and what are you doing in Bayer?
Okay, I'm going to give you some examples, not all of them. No.
Wait, you can tell us, only what you can tell us.
First, to understand how and what, whether to upskill, reskill, or maybe externally recruit, we use and we follow a three-step approach. First, it is very important having a clear strategy, a clear purpose, and where we want to go and what we want to achieve in terms of competencies and capabilities. Second, very important to see which are the capabilities, the skill set available now in the company. And then with those two variables, then you are able to develop your learning strategy, your learning experiences. We usually use the learning model 70-20-10. 70 means learning in the job, doing some experience in the job. Then 20 means learning informally in terms of coaching, mentorship, feedback, networking, etc. And then we have the 10% that it's like kind of formal learning, although it could be virtual learning, right? Well, the point here is to combine both of these three dimensions, right? And in this case, to put you some initiative, I just want to highlight that we are upskilling our leaders, and we have designed a specific program here in Iberia, because we want to increase the effectiveness of the leadership. And it means, first, that it's very important for leaders to have self-awareness, and it means how they know themselves to unlock their own potential. And it includes, for sure, their own health, right? It includes how they need to reflect on what they are doing in their day-to-day, and what are the key resources that they have on themselves. For this, it's important also to work in terms of being resilient. And what does it mean? It means how to confront adversity in a positive way. Then, just to give you an example, very clear one, it is proof that if you remember 3 things that you have happen in your day, 3 positive things, and you write it down before going to sleep, then you will improve your positive mindset.
This is
right?
an exercise that we can also encourage the audience to do it from now on, right? I will try to do it.
But there are a lot of...
3 is a lot. Maybe
Yeah.
2, it's okay also?
Or just one.
Just
But
one.
the point in terms of the active leadership program,
Yeah.
we work in terms of, as I said, self-awareness. Then, because if you know yourself, then you will be able to identify the capabilities of your team, the team dynamics, and unlock the potential of your team. And then with this, then you can put it in a value proposition in terms of business, right? And we are working with this. And there's a kind of interconnected journey where we also learn in terms of how to lead remotely, in terms of digital mindset. We're starting working on this because it's not just only having digital skills day to day, it's having this mindset that everything is interconnected. We need to collaborate, we need to be transparent, and also it fits a lot with our values. In Bayer we have life values that goes for leadership, integrity, flexibility, and efficiency. And we are working all together with these leaders to be able to well, adjust and make them upskill and also their teams.
Okay. By the way, and out of my curiosity, you were mentioning within your leadership program, you promote the self, let's say, awareness, right,
Yes.
of your leaders. So it means that sometimes you have to admit, for instance, weaknesses, right,
Of
of
course,
yourself,
that's a
which sometimes
very
maybe
important.
leaders are not really eager to, discover their own or to admit their own weaknesses.
Yes,
Is
but
that a challenge also?
yes, but it's surprising, and maybe some of them are watching today, but maybe they can tell better than me. But when you create a safety space, a safety psychological space, then it comes naturally, right? And it's really important because if you don't like what you are doing, or if you don't believe what you are trying to reach as a strategy, then you cannot be able to do it. It's our philosophy. And it starts with you, and it also it's for leaders and for everyone. Yeah?
Good.
But
Okay.
we have a lot of things to talk. I mean, just only
Yeah,
grab
some
of them.
examples, the ones that you're allowed to tell us, right?
Exactly.
Okay, you were mentioning actually examples of upskilling focus on what we can call the soft skills, right? I guess that you also have programs in hard skills, maybe.
Yes.
Let me put an example of another company here in Barcelona, for
Okay.
instance, because I think it's a radical example. It's a manufacturing company, it's a car manufacturing, SEAT. They took 5 people from their industry facilities, so people who is in the assembly line, and they put it in a boot camp in order to learn digital skills, like in AI, I think it was rather big data and so on. And nowadays, they don't work in the manufacturing facilities anymore. They working in their digital hub, creating new business models out of the data that you can source from the car. So this is a radical example of how within your company you can not only upskill your employees in self-awareness and in of course the soft skills, but also in very, very hard skills. It's a model that you believe also in providing hard skills like technical skills to
Yes.
your employees?
For sure, for sure. Well, we need an overall understanding of what data means, right? And for this, we have also choose some employees, but it will be developed throughout the organization. We started with a data analytics program with employees that are very good experience and well knowledge in the technical field, and then we provide some how to make decisions better based on the data insights and how to put these decisions into actions. And we are partnering with the Barcelona Data Institute. I hope also we will partner with you for this, because we need an overall understanding, as I said, on how to manage data, on how to make good decisions, and then take action. And for this, it requires a lot of technical knowledge also.
Okay, thank you, Ona. Now let's hear about the examples of Nestle in Barcelona, or actually you're playing an international role regarding the reskilling and upskilling of your own workforce.
So a couple think are complementing nicely because 70, 20, 10%, that resonates on Nestle as well right away. We are using and leveraging a lot on the ability to create critical mass by creating opportunity for cross-pollination. Let me give you a couple of practical examples. Within our ITC community, we have a team that is called Innovation Methodologies, who are experts in design thinking, in agile, and in UX. And what we do, we started leveraging on their capabilities within IT, but then we progressively have expanded and have them participating to business-driven initiatives. So some of our design thinking experts last autumn has worked together with the team here in Barcelona that was thinking about how our physical spaces, how our offices are going to look like for the future to welcome back the people when we will be more stably, being back to the office and being back to a presential way of working. By bringing design thinking experts to work with them, you create excitement, you create also believers that this new type and way of working can truly make a difference. And by that, you do it disseminating the capabilities across the organization so that next time there will be someone in the business organization that will recognize, promote, and apply this methodology. It works the other way around. So one of the things that we are doing for that upskilling and that was more reskilling because you bring new methodologies to parts of the organization that didn't have them before. And for the upskilling, we are promoting, for instance, opportunities for our IT community to spend time in missions or programs with the business. So we had one of our innovation experts spending time with our diary, with La Lechera team, to work together with them and figure out how innovation can be brought into business, but also looking at what challenges someone working in a big brand that is well known and has all the challenges of a big brand could truly factor technology into that. And I would say, Jordi, the last thing to remember, for a long, long time, people in IT thought that they could know a bit of everything. Long gone are those days. It's almost impossible to keep pace with the way technology is evolving. So as simple as that, curiosity is still one of the biggest drivers for people to learn. And in this sense, it's great to complement that with recognition from our leaders that this curiosity needs to be protected and to have time for people to learn and to boost their ability, their skills, and their possibilities to operate across a number of different domains. And last but not least, if I may,
of course,
the recognition that digital dexterity is not for IT only anymore. If there is one thing that the pandemic has shown is that the ability to operate in a digital world is now not just something that IT needs to take care of, but it's truly part of the day by day and has to be second nature as it is, I don't know, language or expecting that if you click the switch, the light will be on in your house. So curiosity and digital dexterity as, I would say, the big foundational elements for the workforce.
Okay. By the way, I like a lot also the 70-20-10 and the example of this cross-pollination. Have you measured somehow the impact of the results of those kind of initiatives of mixing teams in order to, spread knowledge and also to acquire new skills maybe that they didn't have?
Not in a formal way. I would say it helps a lot, and you see the difference when you start thinking about what next steps can someone take from a career perspective, and you realize that the people who have demonstrated this curiosity and have taken the advantage of working for a big company that is offering you the possibility of expanding your horizons and maybe go a bit beyond what was your original area are normally finding more opportunities, are more attractive also from a talent perspective, and so progressing more in their own journey and their own careers.
Good. So very good specific examples. Okay, now we are starting the time for Q&As. I believe that we don't have questions from the online followers, even though we, of course, encourage you to send us questions. I have to double check because I'm supposed to receive it by WhatsApp, but I don't think we have it. But of course, we have also people following us here. And of course, we encourage you to ask a question, okay? You have 10 minutes to do it. You don't have to do it now, but of course, we encourage you to ask us questions. Otherwise, let me follow, because we have remaining 10 minutes, to cover some topics that I would like to cover. One question, okay, online. Is 1 minute? Yeah. And we finished?
Yeah.
Okay, so I misunderstood.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Don't
but we
worry.
didn't have questions anyway. So
No,
okay.
anyway. No.
So,
but
well, it's time to close then.
Yes.
Yeah.
You would love to
summarize a bit?
Yes.
Yeah, well, for me...
We have time for that.
Yeah, I think we took very insightful examples of how companies are, reskilling and upskilling their own workforce, because you have, a vision of the future, you know where your industry is heading, and you know how to, let's say, adapt to this new future, and this means that you are, putting in place certain initiatives in order to, reskill, upskill your own workforce to be very, very competitive in this new economy. And for me, just say that it was a pleasure to learn these two business leaders, and I hope that, well, we have the opportunity to follow out the conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we are running out of time, but it was a pleasure to listen to your expositions, and thank you very much for sharing your knowledges and your experiences here. And thank you very much, Jordi, for being here and do this job as you do very well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And for all of you, we will come back at 1 p.m. We have now an inspirational talk with Patricia Ramírez, Patri Psicóloga. Well, we thank you also our sponsors, Ajuntament de Barcelona, Servihabitat, Akbar y Ministerio Transportes, Movilidad y Agenda Urbana. We will see you in 10 minutes here in Be Talent.